Good morning. Welcome to ScreenJunkies Universe. It's a wonderful day today because it's Ed Greer Wednesday, but as a special treat, we also have Danielle Radford here with us. So this is an exciting day. Yay! I'm Roth Cornet. That's Dan Murrell.
Hello.
Billy Business over on the Billy Cam.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah.
My corner.
Oh, there he is.
Back in my corner.
Back in the corner. It's not even in the same building. That's what people
It's
don't
not.
know. Billy's across the street.
He's at home in his
I
living room.
couldn't
Nothing but
walk
his
up
fun
there
clothes.
even
Yeah.
if I wanted to.
He's in his boxer shorts. That's what you don't know. We have a lot to talk about on streaming today. MCU characters, some pretty prominent characters potentially coming to the streaming service via Disney. Also, one of my favorite series of all time is going to get a live action adaptation. We'll talk about that a little bit. Plus Bert and Ernie. Stuff. Let's start with Loki. What is going on? Everyone was talking about this. So just to give a little bit of setup, this is via Variety. Disney is in early development on a plan to create a number of limited series centered on popular MCU characters, meaning from the actual movies. Meanwhile, the Defenders still get nothing, which is hilarious. But they're talking about bringing in like 6-episode series with people like Scarlet Witch and Loki. So Tom Hiddleston, and rather than recasting this is actually, they're saying Tom Hiddleston and Elizabeth Olsen are expected to reprise the roles. So they are throwing down that MCU money, that Hiddleston money on this streaming service. And I think it's clearly a huge bid to get an initial subscription base for the service and then grow and take over the world and dominate us all from there. I will admit, initially I was pretty surprised. And then I wasn't, because I thought, why wouldn't they have Disney money? Why not sink it in and get this base and then hope that people just forget to click off when they're done with Hiddleston after 6 episodes, or they give you Scarlet Witch next. But I also wonder, does this tell us a little bit about, well, Loki, spoiler for Infinity War, is dead. Right, but he appears to be the ones that maybe is actually dead because it was pre-snap.
You can only fate kill Loki so many times.
Yeah, eventually he has to die for
Eventually
real.
he's got to actually stay dead.
So is this like a prequel situation? Let's talk about what we think it is, and then let's talk about the plan. And do you think this is nuts? Like for Hiddleston and Olsen.
Here's what I want to see from a Loki show. Sign up Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
And it's just Odd Couple on Sakaar with Loki and the Grandmaster. I'm in.
He was there
Sold.
for months
I'm
before.
so in.
Yeah, I'm in on that too.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Mine was, I pitched this on Twitter earlier today. I just want the series of him trying to find the good nursing home for Odin that he puts him into. Like just him on Earth, interviewing candidates, checking background credentials, calling a place for mom.
Yeah.
Like I want to see the gritty, like him in New York.
And then eventually he can't find a place, and so it becomes Frasier, and they live together.
Yeah, that's what I love that. Yeah.
Loki, but Frasier.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
How about
we
you?
about watch that.
Did this take you by surprise?
You know what? As a truly dissatisfied nerd, the first thing I thought of was, if you're going to do this, how about get some Disney animators to do a good Hulk show or something? Something that would be super prohibitively expensive and would probably fail at the box office is a Hulk movie. But a really good Hulk movie animated, and one of the best. I mean, they have so many good animators over there, and Marvel animation has sucked so far.
Right.
So I would just think that they would use all that production value for some of their characters in a different way besides the live action shows. I would love to see high quality Marvel animation to rival DC's animation.
But is that going to capture the casual fan the way that Loki and Scarlet Witch would?
But are Loki and Scarlet Witch going to capture the casual?
Loki.
That's the
I don't
question,
know.
you know?
I don't think we are the casual fan.
Yeah.
No.
So I don't think we know that.
I mean,
know
Loki,
what I mean?
obviously people love that character.
People
They
love
love Tom Hiddleston. So maybe that one. Scarlet Witch for me is a little bit... I guess it would just depend on what you do with it, but I don't know how many people are like jumping at like, I need to see way more about Scarlet Witch. If it were Black Widow, maybe, because I think there's
They
an
don't
angle
have
there.
Johansson money.
But they don't have, well, they do, but I don't know how much they can.
Well, and maybe even
My God, how much have they committed to this thing already?
I don't know. It's really
It's
interesting.
insane.
Also, the fact that it's Hiddleston and Olsen is curious because it partially makes me want them to redo the Hank Williams movie, but as Loki and Scarlet Witch.
I think if you add one thing to this, it's magic, and
Okay.
it's Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, Loki, and Scarlet Witch having some interdimensional dope adventure with magic and stuff, and they put just enough money into the effects to make it compete a little bit with the movies, I think you got a dope movie right there.
I think they're
Or
talking
limited
about
series.
separate series, though. I think that what
Yeah,
they're
no,
talking
I
about
just-
is doing like 6
just don't
episodes
want
of
it.
Loki Adventures, 6 episodes of Scarlet Witch having some kind of demon baby. I don't know. How much does this have to tie into the MCU?
I mean, Loki's really can't that much. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just. Oh, sorry, Danielle. Seems
No,
like she's
sorry.
had
I just had
brainstorm.
I had an idea. It's really, really weird. It won't be what they do. But nerd glasses time.
Okay.
Scarlet Witch and Vision do have babies,
Yeah, I know.
and then it turns out their babies aren't like real babies.
No.
And that is what brings about the House of M, where Scarlet Witch, like everyone's fighting, and she goes and does her whole thing, and then she's like, no more mutants, and gets rid of all of the mutants. So I don't know. Maybe that could be a way to bridge into if they're still going to do anything.
Maybe, but I mean, they potentially. You mean with the mutants? Now
Yeah,
that
where
they
it's
have
like,
Fox?
oh, well, that's what happened, and that's why they weren't around, because she was like, no.
And
more
now they're
mutants.
back.
And now they're back.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, especially given the fact that if it has Loki in it, it
Yeah.
would be in the past.
So
Yeah.
it would be a prequel. Oh, okay. Well, I don't think Loki's in it. Again, I think that they're
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
two
Yeah,
separate
yeah.
series.
Well, just
But
make a big
that's kind of
jam.
brilliant because
Yeah.
if they are both prequels, that way they don't have to lead into the current, except that she wasn't with Vision before.
Right. So it
There
would
had
have
to be a whole other reason.
Yeah.
She still could have, on her own, while she was getting experimented upon or whatever,
Yeah.
have done that, and then they could bridge the gap, and that's how mutants are back in the MCU or something.
Maybe.
Are
I'm
we
also-
making sense? I think you should lay out what you're saying. Like step 1 is it's a prequel series. Step
Yes.
2, Scarlet Witch wipes out the mutants in this prequel series. Step 3, by the end of the series, we jump to the current timeline in which mutants are back, and that's how the Fox Disney merger works to bridge the mutants.
But would they do that on the streaming service? Is the
I don't
question.
know.
It's like
I
a big
don't
jump.
know.
It's a big move to
It's
make.
a big move.
Well,
But
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like Justice League people around the world say that it kind of failed because there's only 1 or 2 movies, and then they tried to set up this whole universe with 1 movie. Well, there's a billion movies in Marvel canon. They could literally grab bag each of these characters and give them tiny limited series as like Marvel Team Up. I would love to see Marvel Team Up, the whatever streaming service show, where it's like, oh, Doctor Strange and I don't know, Doctor Strange and Rocket Raccoon this episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's really
You
expensive.
could be right, though. They could
know?
be together. They could be team ups. It could be them together.
I think that'd be a
randomly.
maximum use of the actor's time as well to keep, let them know like, okay, we're gonna shoot this series real quick, like, and do a bunch of it in post. Then you can go do a small movie for Merchant Ivory.
Sure,
The question is,
if they existed. But
You know what I mean?
I would love that.
I guess what we're going to find
Canada
out
gets the
is,
win.
can Disney make this work just by throwing money at it? Because that seems to be what they're doing. It's like, we're just going to do everything. We're going to do everything. We're doing Star Wars, doing Marvel. We're going to make this work because we're going to be doing everything. And, man, that is a huge, even like they say, oh, we want to compete with Netflix. Like, Netflix took, 10 years just in the streaming space to become what it was. Like, it already had a consumer hold on the DVDs. Then it starts putting that little hammer in House of Cards and these little kind of one show at a time. And now it's this huge behemoth, but it didn't do that overnight. And
No.
Amazon didn't do it overnight. And it's like Amazon's been doing it for 5 years,
Yeah,
and it's
that's
still
right.
struggling to get a
Very good night at
foothold.
the Emmys.
They had a great night at the Emmys. Hulu's been doing it for 4 or 5 years. It's got shows.
And Hulu, kind of, one of the ways they started was by taking shows that had already been canceled and being like, let's see what we can do with
Right.
these.
Yeah, like the Mindy Project.
Yeah.
But it seems like DC and CBS and Disney are all saying okay, we're just going to do it. We're just going to skip all those steps, and we're just going to throw all the money that they're currently throwing into it today, and we're going to compete. And I saw this FX research last year, 2017. 487 scripted shows on television. 117 of those scripted shows are on streaming platforms, and that number is going to go up by who knows how many in the next year. It's
You see that at the Emmys. You
It
see
is
how
a
that
risk.
impacted the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been over 400 shows on. Yeah, you're right. It's astronomical. But you see it on the Emmys where they're relatively niche shows winning these awards because there's so much television, and some of these niche shows are really great.
Yeah.
But it's like somebody, I can't remember where I heard this, but they were like, it's no longer the Super Bowl of television anymore in the Emmys. It's now sort of it serves more as recommendation, which I
Yeah.
think is one of the impacts. And eventually there's just there are too many things, and it will fold in. But if anyone can do it, do you feel like Disney can?
Well, I think that's their play. I think their play is Netflix using our characters and our IP got a big boost to what they were doing, regardless of what anybody says. Having Marvel shows from Daredevil on even to Iron Fist, all those shows helped Netflix's brand. And so I think they believe if they have bigger characters than those characters and more production value, they'll win on pure bigness. You know what I mean? And I think they might have a point there. A TV movie with Doctor Strange that isn't laughable, a TV movie, or like I said, a really, just imagine like Fievel level animation of a Hulk project or something. You know what I mean? Or, and maybe you might say, Pixar level, but you know what I'm saying? I'm shooting lower than that.
I like
that
you went Fievel.
Yeah,
I do
Fievel,
too.
like that level.
I like that about you, Ed.
Yeah, just Fievel level animation on a Hulk movie would, I think, blow people away, or a Doctor Strange movie, or Spider-Man even, or and you know what I mean? I just think them dedicating a little bit to that and a lot to having the lower tertiary Avengers have little miniseries. I think that they could win on pure bigness.
But do you think that they can?
I mean, I would if that was consistent programming and I could see, some of my favorite Marvel characters and slightly smaller budgeted fare, like maybe Blade level budgets for like a lot of this stuff, I'd watch the hell out of that and I would sign up for that.
Yeah.
I would sign up for that.
Are you?
I'm definitely watching it, and I mean, with this service, I haven't seen a yay or nay on this yet, so I'm not sure. But if they do this, like the DC service, where they also include that you can just read these books on your TV, that's really interesting to me as well, because of the vast catalog of things that are already available on, they already have a service where you can read all of their books. Yeah. And so if they're lumping that into this, again, for the casual fan, I don't know if that's a big sell for them, but I think it's a big sell for me, and I think it could be good for the books.
I feel bad for Comixology a little bit.
I feel so bad for Comixology.
Which I have, and I just found out about Captain Marvel's cat. It's a whole thing that I have to read up on.
I think that they are putting themselves in a position where they have to be at 100% from day one.
Yep.
They cannot fail. They cannot experiment. There's no room for finding out what it is. There's no room for finding out if it works. They are investing so heavily that it's like they have to be at peak performance from day one. If they can do that, that's great. If they can't, that's a problem, because they've invested. This is a ruinous amount of capital that you're tying up in this thing. So it is a massive risk in the sense of just like, if one of these things doesn't hit, like Solo showed that people won't go see something just because it has Star Wars. It has to be good. It has to draw them in. So the Star Wars show has to be good. The MCU Netflix show, everyone loved Daredevil, and then Jessica Jones came out and everyone was like, yay, and then Luke Cage came out and everyone was like, yay, and then Iron Fist came out and everyone was like, and then Defenders came out and everyone kind of yawned, and now we're at the point where we're just like, oh, Luke Cage came out? Oh, there's another Iron Fist? Like it's just, they're just whizzing past at this point. Jessica Jones season 2.
Yeah, they're not events.
It was fine, but it didn't have any kind of big splash. It wasn't buzzy. Even that big kind of thing, they is sort of at this point, people just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. They're putting themselves in a no fail scenario.
Yeah, potentially, but I think that's maybe why they're throwing so many different things at it, whereas like, okay, we didn't like the Scarlet Witch series, but we did like the Star Wars, or the reverse, or hey, like my nerd friend, you have to watch the Scarlet Witch series to figure out what they're going to do with the mutants.
Sure.
Or something like that. I don't know. I mean, part of me feels like if anyone can do it, just because of the combination of their catalog, their resources, their current track record in terms of like, Disney might make films that are tonally similar to a degree that that sometimes we wish they would shake it up and be a little bit more experimental, but they generally do not. Generally, broadly, make good things.
Generally,
broadly.
Yeah. It's just, I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying like they are. It is a big risk. It is a roll of the dice, and they're competing against 5 other companies that are doing the exact same thing.
Remember, you could just watch everything on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, we are going to throw everything we have into this thing, and they're not all going to work. It's just that's just not a possibility. Yeah. They're not all going to work, and someone is going to take a massive hit from one of these things. And I just would hope that I'm not the company that I'm the one that does it, because they are all doing the same thing. We're investing everything we have into this one thing. and we hope it works.
To some degree, do you guys think that Disney and some of these other companies feel that, whether this is true or not, that they don't have a choice? Because if you look at the data, like it is the incidence, like streaming really is taking over. And if they're going to compete, like the dollars that are being spent on streaming so far outpace what's being spent theatrically, and so far outpace what's being spent on cable, right? So like, and that's only going to increase. So does it feel a little bit like everybody's hands are tied? They've just got to get into the race and hope they win.
Well, with Marvel, I feel like they are the guys. Like there's an apocryphal story about Colonel Sanders selling chicken out of his trunk.
What?
Right? Well, one of his first things, he would fry up some chicken and pull up to places, pop open his trunk, and sell it out of his trunk.
Like a mixtape?
Like a mixtape chicken. And
Hey, girl, you like chicken?
Come over to my ride. Look at the trunk. I'm not Ted Bundy, I swear. And so you pop over the trunk, and there's all this hot chicken in there. Now you can get some. You can get some deal. What?
Was he pre-making it? Like, I'm just asking about the logistics. Like, was it pre-made?
I'd like to
then,
think that he just rolled around with a bunch of flaming oil.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I'd like to envision it that way. So he's just pulling up with this hot ass oil and raw poultry in his truck. But the bottom line I'm saying is, I'll do a rapper metaphor. The same thing. You sold tapes out of your trunk, and then when MC Hammer got a record deal, they were like, we'll give you this amount of percentage. He's like, I sell that. I make twice that selling them out of my trunk.
Yeah.
I don't need your stupid distribution. We're in the same situation. Netflix, they license these beautiful IP to Netflix. Netflix blows up and they go, why don't I sell my own damn chicken? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why don't I sell my own chicken? I have enough money to make a brick and mortar place to sell my own damn chicken. I don't have to license it to these losers.
Analogies are my favorite analogies.
It's true, but
Really,
they're in
they
a
are.
marketplace where you're building your own restaurant, and on the other corner is KFC, and on the other corner is Zaxby's, and on the other corner is Popeyes, and in the middle of is churches, and everybody wants you to all pay money for the chicken,
Yeah.
and you're hoping that you're not the chicken restaurant that goes out of business.
Well, look, in that scenario, Churches is the winner, right?
Well, yeah. I'm a Popeyes man
I think in
myself.
that
I think I'm a
scenario-
Popeyes
I think I'm
fan. Pizza and
Popeyes.
rice.
The chicken wars.
I think in that scenario, the brand that has the most recognition and the most faithful base wins. Just
but-
Popeyes.
and just imagine. There was a story about this lady who was selling this
So
dope
Disney
ass
is
chicken.
Popeyes?
Yeah. There was this lady who was selling some chicken, this dope ass chicken from some sort of private business, and it turns out her restaurant. It was a restaurant. They were sending out people to buy Popeyes chicken and bring it to this restaurant
that.
and put it on plates. That's what Netflix has been doing. Netflix is selling
got
Popeyes
that.
chicken.
I
Talk
was
about
ready.
this is me. This is my chicken. And Disney's like, nah, dude, that's my chicken.
I can't begin to express how impressed I am that we have made the chicken analogy work on 5 different levels
Great.
so far.
Yeah. So I'm just saying they want to sell the IP, the 11 herbs and spices or whatever.
Yeah.
They know they have the herbs and spices. They want to make all the money off the herbs and spices instead of licensing.
So the Colonel, I think what we've decided at the end of the day, I actually want to correct myself because I think I got that wrong. The Colonel is Disney.
Oh yeah. Well, but at the same time, it's Disney. It's Disney with the quality of Popeyes. It's not,
Yeah. All right.
Also, oddly enough, great Popeye scene in the Supergirl movie. Watch it. You're welcome.
Oh,
All right.
nice. So, speaking of the streaming wars, also flooding money into this race on a various, all kinds of IP is Netflix. And so they are making a live action television show out of one of my favorite animated series of all time, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yay! I know you're scared, and I feel your pain. I'm scared too. We know how it went last time, and we were all hurt by that, and we're still feeling the scars a little bit. And frankly, I think so is director M. Night Shyamalan, who's just escaped what he did to that franchise. That said, here's the good news. Original creators Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko are executive producers and showrunners on this series, and here's what they had to say in a joint. It's also being co-produced with Nickelodeon, in a partnership with Nickelodeon. So here's what they had to say about this series. We're thrilled for the opportunity to helm this live-action adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. We can't wait to realize Aang's world as cinematically as we always imagine it would be. And with a culturally appropriate, non-whitewashed cast, it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to build
Shots
upon
fired.
everyone's great work on the original animated series and go even deeper into the character story, action, and world building. Netflix is wholly dedicated to manifesting our vision for this retelling, and we're incredibly grateful to be partnering with them. I had the opportunity to interview them a few times during that last season of Avatar, and they were unabashed, like unafraid to say how unhappy they were with the movie. Any fan was unhappy. That was a terrible movie.
Right from the beginning, where normally there are actual like characters that meet, like when they're doing the opening thing, and there are these characters behind them that actually mean something. They are words, and then in the live action version, it's just nothing. It's just like symbols. Right from there, like it started off bad and got worse.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this would be, they're saying this is gonna be expensive to do airbending, on an ongoing
With more
series.
than 2 rocks.
And to do, I mean, waterbending alone.
Ooh, waterbending's in
Yeah, that sounds
lot
Scarlet
of
Witch
money.
expensive.
It sounds Scarlet Witch expensive. That said, yes, please. I'm pretty excited. I just don't know if it's a complete retelling or if they're gonna. It says retelling, which is like just do different stuff with the characters. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know from Avatar or
right.
The Last Airbender. I've only half seen the movie. It's the only honest trailer movie that I never finished. I couldn't.
It's a bad movie.
So I hear that people are very enthused about the animated show. It seems like people are excited about this. Almost like this, they wish this could have been what they'd gotten in the first place. So if Netflix feels like this is a good move for them, more power to them. It's another big budget thing. I think they read, they're reading what everyone else is doing. They're like, all right, what else do we got to do? Let's go. We got to keep up. So,
But what if this starts like a trend of like anti-whitewash movies? You know what I mean? Not as far as like everything. I'm just saying like all the movies that were whitewashed, now we get a remake that's appropriate. That would be really hilarious. Like somebody just has to try Gods of Egypt. And they put a bunch of dark people in there. It's like, see? It's like, no, this movie still sucks. But it's culturally appropriate. This sucks though. Duh, but culture, diversity. Damn it, focus groups. You know what I mean? I'm just waiting on that. For it to like,
yeah, that was a problem. That was not the problem.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
But it's also the original. Like clearly, M. Night did not understand that show. He just didn't. His kids watched it, they liked it, and so he decided to make it. But he didn't get what was great about Avatar at all. And this is Brian and Mike. Come on, Danielle, are you with me?
I'm very excited.
Thank you.
I'm very excited. I'm very interested. I can't wait until they start announcing casting and Twitter loses their mind.
Yeah.
Either good or bad.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm here for it. I mean, like, I'm not getting rid of Netflix anytime soon anyway.
It still has some movies.
It has so many things.
It still has a lot of
I just
it
finished
has
American Vandal
so many
season 2,
things.
so
Yeah.
there's so many things. I had to unwrap that mystery,
Yeah. How do
which
you
I
feel?
finished last night.
Was it good?
Yeah, it's good. It's a great show. I really like it.
Great show.
Yeah, well, I think Netflix is also getting real ready to not have the Marvel stuff. I think they're getting real
They're gonna
ready.
have no Disney stuff soon.
Yeah, they're wrapping their hands, dipping them in glass. They're like, all right, here we go. It's time to do this, Tong Po style. They're gonna get it.
Yeah.
So I think they really are getting ready for the lack of Marvel's chicken.
So is it the Liam Neeson wolf fight, but actually they're going to fight the wolf?
Yeah. I mean, punching a wolf is a total move.
Yeah.
It's a good move.
Ooh, maybe they'll remake The Gray and actually have him fight the wolf in this version.
I would sign up for whatever streaming service makes that movie.
Yeah, Wolf Twitter says, look, man, I'm tired of getting CGI'd out of stuff, man. There's more than enough trained wolves out there to cast in these movies. And yeah.
All right.
I just want to see anybody punch a wolf.
We have some special reporting from Danielle here, who was on the scene for us yesterday with the girl in the spider's web. But first, Bert and Ernie. Okay, this blew up on Twitter yesterday. This is via NBC News and literally everywhere. Former Sesame Street writer Mark Saltzman told the blog Queerty that he wrote Bert and Ernie as a couple based on his own real-world relationship with film editor Arnold Glassman. Meanwhile, creator Frank Oz for whatever reason, decided to take
Didn't
to
have to.
social media and set the record straight, saying, quote, "It seems Mr. Frank Saltzman was asked if Bert and Ernie are gay. It's fine that he feels that they are. They're not, of course. But why the question? Does it really matter? Why the need to define people as only gay? There's so much more to human beings than straightness or gayness." He went on to like answer a bunch of people. I think a lot of people that were questioning him on this statement, he went back and answered, and he said, when a character is created to be queer, it's indeed important that the character be known as such. It's also important when a character who is not created queer be accepted as such. So that's what he said. Leaving Twitter, he said this is a final question. Next time, I would be very interested to know if Bert and Ernie were indeed gay, would they be any different than they are now? So anyway, everybody, what are your thoughts on this, on Bert and Ernie and Frank Oz chiming in?
The weird one for me was that I don't know if it's Sesame Street or the Children's Television Workshop, but another one responded and said that, like, you know, it's kind of what Frank Oz said, like, well, if that's what he wants to say, but they're puppets and they're Muppets and they don't have sexual. They said they don't have sexual orientation. It's like that's not true.
Kermit Piggy. He was dating another
Obviously,
pig in the
Gonzo
last
and
movie.
whatever
It was a
he's got
whole
going on with
thing.
the chickens and stuff. It's like
Gonzo and his pansexual chicken love.
This is such a chicken show.
There's like the
Yeah,
Chicken
so much
Junkies
chicken.
universe.
Yeah,
What are
chicken.
we doing?
there's Piggy and Kermit, like their
Right.
whole thing.
That's
is
the
their,
weird thing,
And
like-
by the way, they have a very toxic relationship and need a lot of counseling.
It's super unhealthy, and I like the way that they really unpacked it in the in the later.
I mean, I
shows.
feel like there's a bit of a spin on this in the sense that, like, I don't think the writer. I'd have to read the whole interview, but from what I've read, I don't think the writer was saying like they are gay. He was saying I wrote them in a manner based on my relationship with my husband, with my partner, and so that's the interaction that they had. I you know, maybe there's more context to it, but that's how I read it, and then of course it gets spun. But that was the weirdest thing for me of all, was for like the official response to be like they don't have sexual orientations. I'm like, but they do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that like Bert and Ernie should or shouldn't or are or aren't one thing, but like that's just a weird thing to say because that's not true.
Yeah,
that's
that
not
was
true.
my
That's a
my
bit
problem
of obfuscation
too.
and like
Yeah.
I'm just
See,
gonna.
I don't know, man. I feel like they just need to embrace it and go full bore and tell us about all the sexual orientations of all of Sesame Street. Like, okay, Big Bird and Snuffleupagus experimented in college. That's fairly obvious to me. Let's just go there.
Snuffleupagus was imaginary.
Yeah, he was imaginary. So it was Snuffle.
So then definitely.
It's like a Fight Club thing.
Yeah.
or Snuffy was like the anime pillow girlfriend.
Yeah. It was like,
Yeah, like a big stuffed pillow in his house that he takes to dinner and stuff, and everybody just has to act like it's cool.
Here's the thing. I like, just why, Frank Oz? You didn't have to say anything. And like the fact that he said this is what created this situation. Like he didn't have to come out and say definitively, no, they're not. The writer said, I wrote them from this perspective. Why can't you just leave it at that? And I just don't understand why that was necessary. And then to your point, like coming out and saying, oh, no, they're Muppets, so that they don't function that way. That's absolutely not true.
Just canonically.
That is canonically
I
not
don't object
true.
to it socially. I object
Yeah.
to it canonically.
No,
Okay,
no,
but
like
are the
Kermit and
Muppets-
Piggy have been in a relationship on again,
But
off
are the
again.
Muppets technically in the Sesame Street universe?
Yeah, Kermit shows
Oh,
up
yeah.
all the time.
Kermit
He's like a
was
reporter.
on there, yeah.
Okay, well, it's been a minute since I was a kid, but one thing I would like to say is also Danielle said this earlier. Grover's an incel because he lives in a garbage
Oscar.
can.
Yeah, no, Oscar.
No,
is,
Oscar
is an incel.
Take that back
That's
about
not even-
Grover.
Yeah, no,
You think
Grover's asexual
Grover is a child,
because
sir.
he's a superhero. He doesn't have time for all
Yes.
that. He's Super Grover.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's like
And Kermit's a Chad. Kermit's definitely a Chad.
it's such a Chad. For me, I guess it's just, it's really hard sometimes to find yourself represented in the things that you love. And that is why you see things like, it can go anywhere from the innocent shipping of Bert and Ernie or other characters on TV shows all the way to where it starts to get like, slash fiction and stuff like that. It really is a desire for people to see themselves in the things that they love. And sometimes if it doesn't hurt anyone, like, just let people have their fun on Twitter and make their, you know what I mean? Just like you don't have to say anything either way. And just let people have their fun sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I It's his creation, right?
Right.
It's Frank Oz's creation, so to some degree, you have to respect whatever he has to say about his own creation, right? And I understand that, but I agree with you too. On the one hand, it's like, who cares if people are having fun? We ship all kinds of things, you
Yeah.
know, and it's just sort of playful, you know, for the most part. It gets a little weird sometimes, but like shipping games, not in this particular
Well,
case.
it would be like
But-
if Stan Lee came on and was like, "Hey, man, you know, such character isn't X."
Yeah, you got to stop talking about Steve and Bucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Spider Pool, which is like, you know, people are just having fun but here's the other thing about it that I do respect, like he has the right to lay claim to his own creation.
Right.
He does, just the same way anybody else does. But if you're there, do you know who Hannah Gatsby is? You probably saw her on the Emmys the other night. She was really funny. She's a great special.
Yeah, she
did
made a lot of my
in-
comedy friends mad, and it was hilarious just by existing and telling her stories.
Right, but
Nanette,
Nanette, and is a special on Netflix right now. And one of the things that she really dives into is sort of like the internalized shame. She grew up in a very homophobic area and a very homophobic home, and even though her family kind of overcame it, she just has a lot of internalized shame. And to me, it's like when you come out and you're say they are absolutely not gay, there's some part of me that goes, whether you mean this or not, and he may not. I think Frank Oz is probably a really sweet old man who's just trying to he's been very sweet in his exchanges. That could impact a kid that is confused and struggling with their sexuality versus seeing two characters that are heroes to them, like engaging in a non-sexualized, but like the same way Piggy and Kermit do, just like a relationship, so that they can see that that's okay and that's there too. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm articulate. I have a little bit of cold, so I don't think I'm articulating very well. But instead of taking the opportunity to allow a space for some kids to feel good and healthy and good about themselves and who they are, you potentially just made them feel bad. And I know nobody meant to do that, but that could have been what happened. I don't know if I'm making sense.
It does. People have been making Bert and Ernie a gay joke since I was a
Well,
kid.
didn't they used to sleep in the
Yeah.
same bed?
They had double beds in the same room.
Really? Because I distinctly
Like a
remember.
fifties couple.
Like
they used to
Lucy
bathe
and Ricky,
together.
yeah.
I distinctly remember an episode where Bert was mad because Ernie got cracker crumbs in the bed. Am I an
Maybe
insane person?
that might have happened at some. I remember them having twin beds, but they could have also at some point. I don't know. But I mean, like people have been making that joke or whatever since I was a kid, and no one ever involved ever had to come out and just like stop that. No, they're not. Like, it's just weird that now, if I'm going to be honest, Muppet sexuality was not in the top 50 of what I was thinking about in the
Nope.
world yesterday.
Well, but that's the crazy
but
thing
it
about
seemed to be
Muppets.
number one for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about Muppets. They apply so many human characteristics to Muppets. Remember when Cookie Monster got in trouble for making kids fat, supposedly, because like he eats mad cookies, so they tried to make him like vegetable monster for like 3 weeks. He ate broccoli and stuff. Me not only eat cookies, me eat a balanced diet. It's like
Yeah, he became
it's a
like-
freaking cartoon monster. What are you doing?
He was like moderate monster for a while.
yeah.
Danielle, just so you know, you are not crazy in the sense that this is one of those common shared mismemories. They never actually slept in the same bed, but there was an episode where Ernie chastised Bert for eating cookies in his own bed.
Oh, well, then he needs to mind his business.
In
That is not your
case.
business.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like people have very strong feelings on this stuff, which is like partially why I kind of like, I don't know, like why should we have strong feelings on this stuff? You know, if Kermit and Piggy are on again, off again, they do not set a very good example in their relationship, in my opinion. Like they're not very nice.
She
to
literally
each
karate
other.
chops him in the neck.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not.
Like,
There's a lot of stalking behaviors. There's
Yeah.
domestic
yeah,
violence.
there's like a number of
Yeah.
things that I'm not, but like, then why can't Bert and Ernie also just kind of be a married couple that bicker a little bit and like 50s couples sleep in the two separate beds?
Sesame Street taught me the ABCs, not relationship dynamics for the rest of my life. Let them be what they want to be. It's not like they're
literally never, ever,
I think we're just
ever,
taking it all too seriously.
I think everyone.
Yeah,
They're
probably.
never
I
gonna
think so,
kiss.
too.
They're never gonna have Muppet humping sex for children on, even though it's on HBO. That's literally never gonna happen. So they can be whatever the mind's eye imagines, honestly. And I don't. That's sort of a
Let people
non-issue.
see into them like
Yeah.
what they want to see into them. Like when I was a kid, I liked Big Bird. It wasn't because of his stated whatever. It was because like he's nice.
Well, I like Big
He's
Bird because he's a
kind.
Republican.
Yeah.
He likes to, help people out. It's
Can't we do today?
I don't know.
I liked Cookie Monster because I had a lot of addictions.
I also like the little monster, the ones that went yup.
Yeah.
Oh,
Their mouths
yeah.
were all
Yup,
weird.
yup. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Like
I
the
thought they
weird-
were funny.
Honestly, my favorite was Snuffleupagus.
Snuffy was. Yeah.
Snuffy was kind of my favorite.
I loved Grover, and then Grover got pushed out by Elmo, which I always
Yeah,
thought
he
was
did.
super unfair.
Grover got all about Eve.
For sure.
totally
He got
did.
straight up.
Totally did.
He got straight up show
Yeah.
growth, just like
Did.
push him
Get out of
downstairs.
there. Break a
Oh,
leg.
man.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like
Elmo
pretending-
Harding.
Yeah. Nice. You
Yeah.
remembered Eve's last name. That's impressive. I think we solved it,
Oh yeah.
which is let's all relax and enjoy our Muppetry. All right.
Oh, also, I should say that I did get added by Cucumber after I made a comment about that to let us know that while Muppets do not fornicate, Felted Friends definitely do.
Okay.
Oh.
Ooh, word in from Cucumber. Good to know.
Felted Friends
Yeah.
F.
Look, you got to talk to the experts.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
I wonder how other people feel. I mean, I feel like this is also one of those things that strangely, as much as we like it does, it becomes because everything becomes like a binary argument of like personal attackery. I wonder, is that happening out there too? I haven't paid that much attention.
Well, Frank, because I did go back and read some of his responses, and he did
Are people
seem
being
to.
mean to him?
There were some people. People were.
I know they're being mean to me. That I know.
Oh.
Yeah, God, I mean me every day. There was a little bit of like stern, like hey, like some, and it did seem like there was some good education happening in the comments, and Frank was very like open and like, hey, I'm not trying to hurt anybody with these comments, like.
Yeah.
It did seem like there was some growing and learning Sesame Street style that happened during that exchange, so that was really nice.
And
Yes.
what did it feel like people were ultimately? Was the takeaway largely like? I think that once you create something and you put it in the world, it's not yours anymore, though. As much as it's weird, because like the half of me understands if you're the creator, like you have some ownership, but the other half, like J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter is just its own thing now. Like it's just not. It just doesn't belong to her. It belongs to us to some degree. Tell me about the lessons. And then tell me about the girl in the spider's web.
It was very good. Like there was some talking, and Frank was definitely like, I'm listening, and he was listening, and that was really nice. And it was mostly the idea that just like kind of what you said was, there's a way to talk about it without feeling like you're shutting it down because people are looking to find something and find themselves on screen because there isn't a lot of representation of that. Yeah. And I feel like I said, in the end, like Frank Oz is just a sweet old man on Twitter, and it's like, just doesn't understand what putting things out there on Twitter means.
Yeah.
And so, but it did. I definitely can't, and I can't speak for like every queer person in the entire world, but I came away with it with, this dude is not trying to shut down discourse or make people feel bad or anything like that, and he is very open and listening to how his statement could have been taken in different ways. So
well, that's beautiful to hear, and I think we'll all just take the ultimate lesson of the Sesame Streets, which is C follows B, which then had also followed A, and also just a little bit of love in your heart and whatever. Speaking of love,
whatever.
I don't know. I don't feel so good today. Danielle, you went to see some special footage of The Girl in the Spider's Web.
I
Tell
did.
us all about it. This is the new Lisbeth Salander movie.
Yeah, so going into it, I was not super. I didn't really have a feeling about it either way. Like the U.S. movie didn't do a whole lot for me. So they showed us 20 minutes of the movie, and in that 20 minutes, you realize that this movie is about Lisbeth, whereas the other movie, she was kind of around and she was this really interesting character, but it mostly followed, I can't think of his name right now, the journalist.
Michael Bloomquist.
Michael Bloomquist. Like it was really, yeah. Like,
Might be an actor.
Well, it was Daniel Craig.
It was Daniel Craig.
yeah.
I think there might be someone named. Anyway, sorry.
Jimmy NyQuil.
Michael Bloomquist might be Lex Luthor. I think you're right. Both of
I
them.
don't know.
But so the movies, typically we're following him and she was just kind of around in his periphery and being interesting. So this movie really is about Lisbeth and what she does. And she is a badass bisexual Batman. She is a superhero.
Okay.
Like in this movie, she is a hero. Like she's got everything, and I'm not giving away too much. You know, she starts off, she's avenging, she's like an avenger for battered women, along with being this hacker. Fede Alvarez, the director, at one point said, you know, she is feminist Batman. Like that is who she is in this movie. And they talked a little bit about how great it was to have this woman who is a badass superhero, essentially, who isn't, and they didn't use the term male gaze, but I think that's kind of what they meant. Like she, you know, they talked about how it can be difficult sometimes in these movies because even when you have women who are strong, they're also very, very beautiful. And this, not that Claire Foy isn't beautiful, but that the character herself is like not meant to be like this gorgeous knockout woman. She is a difficult character. She's a complicated character, and it can be harder sometimes for people to love those kinds of characters in women just because we haven't had a whole ton of them. And so it was fun for them to get to play around with that as well. And watching the way that they had shot her, and the way that they did her sequences, it very much reminded me of like a Batman Begins, of that kind of. I didn't feel like, you know, there aren't these like long shots of her legs and all this other stuff. It is very much about like her as just this kick-ass hacker that gets into a whole mess of trouble. And I walked out of it going from having like I'll watch it interest to being like, oh, that's why they invite you to these things, because they know they did something good.
Yeah.
Like that's
They're not going to show you the 20 worst parts of.
Yeah. It's like, oh, they knew this was really good, and that's why they showed it to me. And so now I'm like, I kind of can't wait to see the whole movie. I'm really excited, and I'm excited to see how it's digested. Claire Foy is amazing. She's so good. And I love The Crown. I like forgot she was Claire Foy for a second, and I was really and bought her as this character because she is very clearly an actor who, you know, there's such thing as character work where you really like embody the other person. Like, how does this person sit? How does this person move? How does this person yada yada yada? And she is fantastic. Accents great. I 100% bought it, and I'm really excited to watch the movie now. They got me. I'm such a mark.
Yeah, I'm into it. I was on the set and I was into it there too. I think you're right. They don't generally do footage presentations if they think they have a dud on their hands.
No.
They knew
They barely
Generally,
do
they
a
don't.
screening if they have a dud on their
they
hands.
they hide it. They bury it if they think they have a dud. So that's very exciting. I'm looking forward to this one. They probably also think they need to do a little bit of marketing around it because it's not like this is actual
The first
Batman.
one was and then the first one was a disappointment
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
a box office standpoint. I mean, it was Academy Award nominated film. I'm going completely blank.
Didn't David Fincher
Rooney
Rooney
Mara
Mara.
was nominated for it, but the movie itself was
And
not
so
a
they
hit,
basically
so.
skipped all the other books and are now doing the book that came out, and I believe this came out in like 2015.
Yeah, and it was the only one not written by Stieg Larsson, who created the characters. There's a whole backstory on how he created her too that I'll tell you later. Hey, thank you guys for joining us today. One of the things that I love about my mornings is spending time with you.
Aw.
And you. I'm trying to end it like Sesame Street if I can. I just don't really remember how they did it. I'm like, did we hold up the mirror? I see you, and I see Charlie, and I see Anna, and I see Isabel. And I like that we get to try and talk about things where people may have different opinions, and we learn how to talk through them, and everybody's included in the conversation. You're welcome to have your opinions, whatever they are. Let's talk nicely to each other. Like Roadhouse, be nice. Although that one's not the best. It's like, be nice, because then it's like eventually there's a time not to be nice.
Yeah.
We're not going to rip your throat out.
Let's do Muppet Roadhouse, where the worst that's going to happen is we give you lots of cookies.
I used to give cookies to guys like you in prison.
Exactly.
I mean, Sam Eagle's obviously the Sam Elliott role, right?
Definitely.
Easily.
Definitely. Oh, God, it's uncanny.
It is, isn't it?
Oh my God.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like, who's Swayze?
Oh, well, that's a whole...
That's a whole-
all right,
All
Billy,
right.
we're canceling what we have planned for movie fights
Yeah.
tomorrow, and we're just casting the Muppet Roadhouse.
Yeah. All right, guys, you cast your Muppet Roadhouse. What are you pushing on us today?
Pushing on? Jeez Louise. Well, I have this
What are
new
you
proprietary.
promoting of the wonderful material that you work?
I have a proprietary blend of chicken.
Yeah, he's got chicken in his car truck. I need like for us to come by.
The oil is almost ready. I time it out with ScreenJunkies.
I'm sitting here burning out live with a fever, I think.
No, but well, I would certainly like people to listen to my podcast Nerd Goat and follow me on Twitter at Greer Destroys.
Please do that
really would
because
like
Ed
that.
is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just really would like that because Nerd Goat. We're having Billy on this week. We're having Lon on this week, Billy on next week, and maybe we can get some of the big guns at this table.
We're not the big guns.
Oh yeah, these are the big guns, and Joe
Sorry,
Starra
Billy.
and Spencer.
Starra.
Joe Starra. So yeah, I would just we're 5-star rated. We're growing, and the last podcast we had was on the Universal Monsters, and it's the highest rated one that we've had so far.
Nice.
So it looks like we're actually growing. So
It's a great topic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so anyway, I just really like that. NerdGoatPodcast.com, NerdGoat on Twitter, at NerdGoatPodcast on Twitter.
Awesome. Ed, in all truth, you are one of the funniest, smartest, most articulate people I've ever known. So you should go support him. And one of the other funniest, smartest, most articulate people I've ever known is you, Danielle. What would you like people to watch this week?
Want people to watch or to do? Oh, just follow me on Twitter and then check out my Patreon if you want to watch me.
Talk about
wrestling and stuff. That would be great. That's it. Watch BoJack Get Sad. I didn't make it, but just do it because it's good.
Yeah. All right. Always an honor to be with you guys. Dan,
Yeah.
what do you want people to watch this week? We're going to have a review.
We're going to have a review of The House with a Clock in Its Walls, which comes out this week. We're going to film that like very soon.
Directly
And it's going to come out
after this.
later today on Wednesday or 4 months ago, whenever you're watching this. I don't know.
Yeah.
And movie fights tomorrow. And we're also doing our summer wrap up, which we're taping today. We're going to reveal myself, Gray Drake, and Jacqueline Cooley. We're going to reveal who won and who won the summer box office contest. And we also have a fall movie preview that we're going to do soon for the Screen Junkies main channel. So we got a lot of cool stuff in the works.
I love the summer box office wrap-ups. They're always so much
good.
fun.
It's
I
good.
came really close a couple years ago.
I went into August pitching a perfect game, and 2 little sleepers snuck up.
One not so little.
One very large and one very successful. Both very successful. Snuck up and snipped me at the end. But we'll see who won the actual contest because it's a very close race.
And movie fights tomorrow: Stacey Howard versus Greg Alba versus Sasha Perlraver. It's going to be a
yeah,
good one.
That's a
good
barn
one.
burner.
And we will see you guys tomorrow. I don't know that I really think I might
Get
be on
some
my
sleep.
deathbed. Okay, I'm going to go.